Alrighty, good morning, everybody. We are so excited to have you joining us for another media availability for the Los Angeles Sparks this morning. We're excited to announce that we have re-signed Chiney Ogwumike. We're happy to welcome her back to the Sparks family. We are going to begin today's media availability with an opening statement from KB. KB, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. As you know, we've made several announcements recently about new players to the Sparks. Well, today is about a key returning player for the Sparks. So excited to have Chiney and officially make the announcement that she's back with the Sparks, and her experience, her post presence, and candidly, above all else, her infectious energy and just presence is invaluable. And we're just thrilled to be sharing with you all today that she's officially back.
Great. Thank you, KB. We will now go to Coach Curt Miller. Coach, go ahead.
Exciting day. Obviously, Chiney and I have a past in Connecticut together and really helped usher in my time as a head coach in this league. And we had a very successful, albeit short, stint together in Connecticut. Enjoyed coaching Chiney when she was an all-star, and really helped begin the momentum that Connecticut had over the last few years. Really exciting piece, as KB mentioned, to our build. The intangibles are off the charts on what Chiney is going to bring to the team, the positivity, the locker room leadership, her knowledge of the game, but her basketball is so valuable and underrated. Just an efficient player. And I really appreciate that, how offensively efficient she is. Defense, her versatility. She is a disruptive defender, and was been a real part of what we tried to do in Connecticut with that disruption. So can't be more pleased to have Chiney back and us be reunited, and look forward to an outstanding upcoming year from her.
Great. Thank you, Coach. In essence of time, we are going to jump to questions now. If you could please keep your original questions to one question each. And then if we do have time, I can follow back up with everybody. So we will kick off questions with Tukni Nguyen from the LA Times. Tukni, go ahead.
Hey, Chiney, good to see you. I see you're hustling there at work in the studio. Just what made you want to re-sign with the Sparks as they kind of begin this new era?
Hey, Tuk. I just think that we've seen the last few years had been bumpy. There's been a lot of growing pains, but this is the first year that I was like, the Sparks have a real foundation for the future and have a standard of excellence that I want to be a part of. Coach Curt Miller, obviously, he said enough about our past. Like, he's literally one of my favorite humans. The first thing that happened when Curt got signed to the Sparks, my dad called. He's like, hey, Curt. Like, my dad loves good basketball, as you guys see. He'll come to a game and he won't talk to anyone he watch. And he thinks that basketball is great under Coach Curt's tutelage. And then that foundation really starts with KB. I mean, her professionalism, her passion, her vision for what this organization can be, because it has a great standard for excellence, but now it's like, we're 2023. What does that mean for the Sparks? It starts with her. And so with those two, I mean, I feel like we're in the best hands in the league, and that made it an easy decision. And yeah, I just also wanted the opportunity to reclaim a little bit of my own career. The last year has been the easiest for me. I've had a lot of questions with how to, be able to put my best self out there, and even confidence wise, but I think with this group, I have family. And so I think it's the best environment for me to, feel like myself and be back to being productive in the way that I know I can be.
Thank you, Chiney. We'll go next question to Rashawn Haylock. Rashawn, go ahead.
Hey, Chiney, congratulations.
Hey, Rashawn.
What's this offseason been like for you, just from a training standpoint? I know last offseason you said you're able to do a little bit of everything. Was it kind of more of the same, or what, have there been any changes? What's it been like?
Last season was a lot of like exploring what could work for me. And this season is like, I know what works for me, it's been a lot of getting my body to the point where it's optimal performance. I played 26 out of 36 games, which even though I know at my exit meeting with KB, I was like, I missed 10 games. But to me, it was an accomplishment to be out there 26 because that was never a guaranteed based on what my body had dealt with since 2018. And so now I'm in the position where I feel like, oh, I know I can play a full season and I know I can play it at a high level. I feel that good about myself. What have I been doing? I've been doing hot yoga. I would actually do a headstand for you right now. Things like, you know, it's helped my physical, you know, my, not only mentally, but it's helped me physically. I've been doing obviously my basketball skill work. I've been working with Susan, who works with a lot of the top players in the W. So I have a team behind me that has really helped me. I think oftentimes, you know, people wonder what I'm doing because my other job is very front facing and I want to, you know, I'm very much protect what matters the most to me type of person, and hoops, basketball, and my play on the court matters the most to me. So prior to any day you see me here, I literally came like I'm in my spandex, like from workouts. I typically wake up at 5:30 and I'm doing something to prepare myself for this season. So yeah, it's a mix of a lot because the older you get, the more you realize you have to have new tricks up your sleeve to like really keep an edge. And yoga has been that for me. It's particularly hot yoga. But yeah, I feel like I have a great system that is going to help me continue to grow.
We'll go next question to Sabrina Merchant. Sabrina, go ahead.
Hey, Chiney, congrats on coming back.
Hey.
You obviously announced your re-signing on NBA Today, and I feel like every time I turn on the TV these days, I see a WNBA player on some commercial or something. How important do you think it is for the league to have you guys in these very national spots talking about the league?
I think it's essential. It's essential, and I think it's awesome. You know, and I think that's part of my decision. You know, anytime I go somewhere, people are like, hey, you're the Sparks player that I see on TV. And like, there's so many different entries to fandom now because our exposure and our visibility is up. And so I think it's one of those, like, this is going to be such an amazing season because we are all multifaceted, and mine is probably a little bit more, you know, is public along with many other players that are also broadcasting, but that means we're bringing more fans and more energy and more enthusiasm. But yeah, breaking it yesterday, for the record, and KB knows this, I did not want to do anything with any hoopla because I have work to do on the court. Like, I just want to be focused on the work on the court. But to the others around me, it was a big deal. And, you know, I didn't want to deny the Sparks organization who were excited, and my producers here at ESPN, my co-hosts, I didn't want to deny them the opportunity to be excited about the season. So I was like, all right, we can just do this briefly. And then of course they had to do the whole breaking news and like have the jersey and all that stuff. But I think it's a testament to the shift, right? And to where our women's sports is right now, and how exciting it is that, you know, we have the platforms and we can carry those platforms to uplift our teams and the W as a whole. So yesterday was funny, but I was just like, oh my God, this is way more than I planned for. But it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Thanks, Chiney.
We'll go next question to John W. Davis. John, go ahead.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's going on? How you feeling this morning?
Great.
Great. So I got a question for you, and I was doing a little research. How do you feel like your game has changed since you made the All-Star team in 2018, when it kind of comes to the idea that, you know, this year in particular, this roster seems like it's being built for floor spacing and three-point shooting. And even last year, you talked about playing those 26 games, but, you know, in this really small sample size, you made 8 of 18 threes, and that's more than 40%. I mean, I felt like that was something that maybe you could have did a little bit more of if you would have played a little bit more.
I agree. And I think to, you know, answer your question, from 2018, I was dealing with circumstances, you know, as women's athletes, our resources are different to manage our bodies. And I was dealing with circumstances of how to, at that point, I was like 27, 28, someone who had microfracture and you know, Achilles surgery early on in my career. How do you become your best self dealing with some sorts of limitations at some points? And I think every player that grows older ends up having to evolve their game. LeBron James shoots way more threes than he did when he came into the league. He dunks the ball way less, you know, not saying that you're not who you are, but it's like, it forces the evolution. And I think that journey from my all-star year in 2018, I had to figure out my body. And my body, it took a while. It took years. It took 2.5, 3 years for me to figure out, oh, I'm good. I just need to be doing this, or I need this type of support in the off season to be able to get back to where I need to be. You know, it just was being, I think Nneka, my sister, her favorite word is grace. I had to give myself grace to allow myself to understand what I was experiencing and then own it and then now move forward. And I think part of that, you know, shift for me, it also, like, when you're going through those situations, you do lose your confidence. And it's crazy for me because, like, I'm one of the most confident human beings on the planet. But when things are happening and they're not going according to how you would want, or like you feel like you're not fulfilling your potential, it's hard to balance. And also, you know, changing teams and changing players, those were all factors that I didn't understand, but now I do. And so, you know, based on where the team is going, knowing Curt's style, I know he loves production in the paint, but I think he also understands that the game is fast and, you know, we have to spread the floor too. And I think all those hard growing pains for me personally and professionally have set me up to feel free and to be able to be my best self now. And I feel, and I think KB knows this, I think Curt knows this, like they see, I mean, I haven't seen Curt in a while, but like people are like, oh, you seem different than when we were last in Connecticut. Yeah, there were some really peaks and valleys, but now we're at the place where we're all here and we're arriving at a point that is amazing. And so, yeah, I plan to expand my game. And I know you have to take shots to learn how to make them. And I think I'll be more comfortable taking more than 8 or 18 or whatever the case is, because I know that's what's best for me. And I'm cool with that. And I'm confident with that.
John, let me jump in here. Like, Chiney's modest, but she really has developed that part of her game. And she was happy to share that. Every time we saw each other, I think the first conversation she had with me, and it could be sometimes when she was checking into the game and I was down probably complaining about officiating, but she would whisper going, Coach, I'm shooting threes now, like Curt, I'm shooting threes. How about my 3-point game? So she's worked really hard. And that's the one narrative that I want to make sure people understand is Chiney works. That's the narrative that needs to be out there. She is a really hard worker and she has evolved her game and she has become a threat at the 3-point line. And I give her a lot of credit for that.
Thank you for adding that, Curt. Thank you.
We'll go next question to Miriam Swanson. Miriam, go ahead.
Hey guys. Chiney, welcome back. Congratulations.
What's up?
Thanks for coming back. Hey, so I have a sort of related to Sabrina's question, but sort of about the WNBA. You obviously chronicle the NBA, think about that all the time. This the current sort of the player movement that's happening, the so-called super teams that are happening in your league. How do you think that will impact the league and your league, the W, in the long run?
I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I think what we're seeing is we have, particularly with the 2 teams that are considered super teams, Vegas and New York, the commonalities is that we have billionaire owners that are not afraid to get in a little trouble, good trouble, to propel their teams and their players forward. Now, again, we have to we know that sometimes the trouble is real, but nonetheless, I think the rising tide lifts all boats. And it's now creating standards where, one thing KB knows, with Seattle, like they're building a practice facility distinctly for the WNBA. I think that comes out in 2024. Those are now things that players see as a standard versus, what things were in the past. And so that sort of levels everyone up. And it allows players and teams to feel like, oh, let's all go do this together because that's what we want. And I think that's going to set this. Yeah, I think that's going to set the tone for our league as a whole. I think there definitely needs to be more flexibility in us being able to experience top-notch, qualities of experience as professionals. I think a lot of the owners, if not all, want to be able to give us things that may not be provided per the CBA. So figuring out where we can push and where we can't, I think that's the optimal time right now. But yeah, I think super teams are great. I mean, shoot, you fear no one when you're on a team because you feel like, every time you suit up, you have a chance to win a championship. But it is good for the league for people to find different ways to be excited to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to fly under the radar and have a chip on your shoulder. And I think that's what the squad will have.
Cool. Thank you.
Good to see you again.
We'll go next question to Jackie Ray and then Jackie Powell. Jackie Ray, go ahead.
Hey, Chiney, good to see you. That smile is just, it speaks to my heart. You seem so excited and you're in good spirits and can obviously see the chemistry already between you and Curt. But last season, when you and I talked about your potential future, you had one statement and it was quick and easy. You go, your sister go. So what is the conversation you and Nneka had prior to you signing?
Look, I said that like kind of jokingly, and I think people ran with it seriously. I would never get in the way of my sister and her free agency. I would never get in the way of her goals and aspirations for her to be a championship, to win a championship, to achieve what she wants to achieve. So that means if she needs to go to Timbuktu to play, I would not feel like I have to be a part of that for that to make that happen, So just like, I think it was funny because like once I said, I was like, oh, it's a package deal. That means she can only go X, Y, and Z. I was like, oh Lord, I was joking, y'all. Y'all know we are sisters, but we've also, we have our own individuality. But, I would hope that my sis would feel good about, it's funny, the roles have reversed. When I was going to Stanford, she was there first and she was recruiting me. Now I'm here back first. Now I got to recruit her. And so hopefully I can hold my end of the bargain for Sparks fans. But at the end of the day, I want Nneka to be happy and to play free because she carries a lot of burdens as the president of the Players Association. And it's not been easy for her the last 4 or so years as well. But she carries it so gracefully, as I like to say. And so I just want her happiness first and foremost, wherever that may be. Even if I'd wanted to be with me together, I'd be, sisters want them to be happy regardless. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, thanks and congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll go next question to Jackie Powell and then Rico Cabrera. Jackie Powell, go ahead.
Hi, Chiney. Thanks so much for taking the time. I want to build off of Sabrina's question a little bit about visibility. So there were probably more WNBA players and just WNBA adjacent folks at NBA All-Star than I've probably seen in a long time. And so Howard Megdal wrote a column yesterday addressing the W's player participation in the celebrity game and sort of how it doesn't highlight the league's talent in maybe the way that it should. So I'm curious from you, what do you think may be more meaningful ways that you think that you think NBA All-Star could be used to really showcase the W's talent?
So I think the NBA actually does a pretty good job compared to where we were before about integrating WNBA players. But I guess the challenge point that I always provoke is that we should not integrate things where it is convenient, which a celebrity game might seem like a convenient answer. We have to continue the conversation with how do we best integrate W players. I myself was very fortunate on behalf of the NBA to speak at the NBA Tech Summit. And then I also spoke at the NBA Newsmaker, which is the NBA's biggest panel. And honestly, it was like a dream type of scenario. I was up there interviewed by Gayle King and some African billionaires, Masai Ujiri of the Raptors. And that, to me, that intentionality is what the NBA is starting to do. That is amazing. Putting players in positions where it makes sense, considering my heritage and my roots. And so I think it's worked well for me individually. I think it works well for certain players here and there, but there needs to be concerted effort to not just rely on the conveniences of, we have an African panel, let's put Chiney on there, which I know it wasn't that because they knew I was valuable there. But how do we push the narrative in every aspect that we do to promote inclusion? I've called the celebrity game multiple times, and this was the best celebrity game that we've had in a long time. I'm pretty sure it's the highest rated. Richard Jefferson, who played in it, put in our little text group chat, highest rated celebrity game. The production was better. I was there. I saw Arike. Arike was going hard. I think people that watched her play were like, oh shoot, she got some sauce to her game. So I think there's certain things it may not, on surface level, it may optically not look great that WNBA players are there, but there are ways that people in the energy that was being provided, people are like, oh, she's different. And I respect that. I also think it should train, having Lisa on the slam dunk contest, ways to permeate us in ways that are authentic to us, like I experienced. I think that's the most important thing. They're doing a better job, let me tell you, but there's still ways that we can get better.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
We'll go to Rico Cabrera and then Rashawn Haylock. Rico, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Chiney. Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. Gracias, ¿y usted?
Muy bien, también. Gracias. Quick question for you. It's always good to see you, and I always think of your sister as well when we used to interview you. back in the day, and still continuing on back in Stanford days, but now, of course, with Sparks. But your thoughts on the work that Karen and Coach have done, rebuilding, restructuring, retooling, however you want to call it, rebirthing of the team. And here you are with the same concept now, with reuniting with your old coach. Your thoughts on that? And then secondly, if we have a little bit of time, your thoughts on Brittany Griner, BG, coming back.
Yeah, I think that great things happen when we come to the table together with the right intentions. I always tell people, like, the great thing about sports is not just winning individually, but it's sharing that feeling of winning with others. That's why you want to win a championship, because it's like, man, you were with me when we were shooting in the gym and we went through this and we achieved, right? I think we have that mindset with the Sparks between Curt and KB. They are humble, but they are hardworking, and they have standards for excellence and greatness. And I think, you know, particularly like having them tag team, because prior, and I know Curt, like you were both roles in Connecticut, but now, you know, so, you know, working hand in hand with KB and sharing the responsibilities, I think they balance each other out so well. You know, and I couldn't ask for a better pairing to push the Sparks in this direction and move us towards the future. So like, it's very rare that you see people that are aligned the way that they are aligned and approach the game. And it's all about, like, they center upon good people. A lot of times locker rooms can get lost by one errant idea, thought, or person in the room, but they're centering upon people and purpose. And I think that is an amazing foundation. And then the other side for Brittany, I mean, we're so happy. Like, that was an unimaginable experience that she went through, but the fact that she is still present to come back and provide what she has always provided, great basketball play, joy, community driven initiatives, like everything that we've come to love with Brittany, that the fact that that is coming back to us, it feels like a blessing, because she didn't have to. She went through an ordeal that we never thought would have to go through. And so, but that's a testament to who she is. I think that's a testament to the sisterhood of the WNBA. And if I'm correct, I'm not sure if KB's here, I think that's the first game. That's our first game. So it's going to be lit. Like, it's going to be lit. An amazing moment. And I can't wait to share that with her.
Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Alrighty, we have time for one more question, so we will go to Rashawn Haylock. Rashawn, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. One for you, one for KB. Coach, what were you able to draw from Chiney during that season in Connecticut, and during this evolution? Where do you see maybe you can tap into that in 2.0 of this relationship? And then as far as UKB, when you hear Chiney say the organization is in good hands, you know, with you and Coach at the helm, how intentional has this process been, you know, for you in terms of kind of recreating, you know, what the Sparks organization is today?
You know, for me with Chiney, you know, she mentioned humble about us, but you want to talk about a humble player in this league, you know, former #1 overall pick, rookie of the year in her rookie season. You know, and what I came to realize here, you know, early on my 1 year as an assistant in the league at LA with a loaded roster, and then transitioning and building something special in Connecticut, was, you know, there's a lot of people that deserve touches. There's a lot of people that need the ball. And Chiney was a star for us, an all-star for us, and did not need the ball. She has the ability to be crazy efficient, and you don't have to get a touch every single time down the floor. And that is so important in our league, because you don't play through one person, you play through multiple people. And she found ways to be successful even when she wasn't getting touches on every single possession. In fact, you know, one of the things I look back, and I wish we could have gotten her at times more touches, because she's so efficient. But the underrated part of her game is defense. Now, she fouls too much, and I'm going to yell at her again this year when she starts fouling, and she has to guard. She's got to guard BG out of the gate, so she can't be fouling BG in game 1. Let's write that in advance. But she is a disruptive defender. She pokes. She gets under people's skins. She's super aggressive. And ultimately disruptive is one of our pillars in our defensive scheming and our defensive philosophy. So I just love that Chiney is a two-way player. It doesn't get probably the narrative or the credit that she deserves, that she's a two-way player and she's a really hard worker. So I'm excited that we're reunited. We had success together, and I was also there to really support when her other passion was starting to take off, and was there to be able to be supportive in those early journeys as, you know, she chased another passion of hers. And, you know, I think she realizes how supportive I am of her, not only with the Sparks, but, you know, again, trying to help all these people with other passions on and off the court that they have. She knows that I'm crazy supportive of her other endeavors.
And that's why my dad was like so excited. He's the real one.
Yeah, let me jump in here, Rashawn. I'll get to your question, but I feel compelled to just sort of say how fun it is to share with you all today the energy and excitement and kind of that Curt and I have been feeling ever since we started kind of sharing thoughts and vision and engage Chiney in our process. You know, she referenced the exit interview last fall and the conversations that we've had, her commitment to her reflection and her own process and kind of learning and growth and recommitment has been really, really exciting and rewarding to watch unfold. So what you're feeling today from her is what we've been feeling over kind of recent weeks and months, is just Chiney is back. She's back physically, she's back emotionally, spiritually. Her energy is infectious. I can't wait to get to training camp and sort of this collection of athletes and just amazing women that we all have the privilege to work with and on behalf of. It's super exciting. So obviously the countdown to training camp has started and we can't wait. But to your question, I think in a nutshell, Rashawn, we've been highly intentional. I think Chiney said it. I love the notion of people and purpose that has driven every conversation we've had. Curt and I have had with ourselves, with ownership, with our staff, with our players. It is about people and purpose, and just excited to get to work. We have a collection of talent and experience that is, you know, very few teams can rival. And we're humbled by that, privileged about that, and just all have a deep appreciation for the fact that we're better together. And we recognize the magnitude of the opportunity we have to deliver on the potential of the LA Sparks and the LA market, really important market for the WNBA. So we're motivated and ready to continue to just kind of keep at it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, KB. Thank you, Coach. That's all the time that we have for today. KB, did you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to add?
No, I think I just sort of my final comment on Chiney and just how just exciting it is to sort of see her in the place that she's in and how that's going to translate into our locker room and on the court is really exciting.
Amen.
Great. Coach, anything from you?
Go Sparks.
All righty, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you joining us. Chiney, we're so excited to have you back, and we'll see you soon.
I'm back. Let's go. Okay. Bye, y'all. Go
Bye.